Red Light Falling, Episode 4.5, The Radiowoman is On. Written by Joseph and Marisha Cautilli. The novel Red Light Falling, a noir tale of redemption by John Andrews, Joseph Cautilli, and Marisha Cautilli. Book 1 of Nanite Nation series. Director and producer, Roma Gray. Executive producer credits, Marisha and Joseph Cautilli. Narrated by Joshua Banks and Shauna Lee Carton. Music by Marisha Cautilli. Jackie idly regards the thick orange neon numbers of the wall clock as they gently tick around. The seconds turn to minutes and slowly move the day forward. She reaches over and presses the button. Her radio station spins an oldie show, and the DJ is one of her friends from the station. His voice whispers over the radio with a southern drawl. This oldie goes back to the last century for all our military families. Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel, Scarborough Fair and Canticle. The kids are around for a family meal that she prepared this morning before entertaining the people of New Cyber City. Her son scrapes the bottom of the bowl of soup and slowly takes the spoon to his mouth. Jackie works too hard. Guilt resides within her as she realizes how much of a hypocrite she is. Over the last decade or so, as the kids got older, she has become entangled in the spider's web of work. Now, at dinner, they barely talk. She thinks,
worse. I always accuse Johnny of doing this to me.
Jackie stares at her hands. They tremble. Nevertheless, the restrictions affects her, taking anticipation to a new level. The song's refrain echoes in her head, describing traits she would love to have now. Her eyes well up with tears, but she bites them back hard. The money helps, Jackie thinks.
Nearly all our fights are because of his distance and his drowning in work.
She has concluded in the last year or so that Johnny probably hasn't been having an affair. The realization brings a mixed blessing. Fidelity is good, but not having an affair means his aloofness, his personality. He will never be who he was before. Shaped from war, it will never change. The dread surfaces. Pain follows, but greeting the pain brings something else. The bittersweet of the past, emotionally buried, emerges. Something deeply important to her is gone and has been for a long time. Jackie reminisces about the man she fell in love with, the handsome and wise guy who always brought a smile to her face and warmth to her heart. They grew up together. Both kids were in the local punk rock scene. Hell, their parents were members of the same scene. As a youth, her gothic emo mother would read palms and tarot cards, or maybe she was just a good con woman. Johnny's parents were committed solar punks, but he never held their environmental enthusiasm. At 16, his parents decided to move to Key West. His dad committed to building the failed Gulf Wall, and his mother worked on microgrids. But after Johnny moved with his family down there, and Jackie thought he died in a storm, her parents decided to move to a small farm in Kansas. Still a teen, she followed her parents, especially because she had gotten word that Johnny died. Her parents left the world of drama and glitz to become simple farmers. Devastated, Johnny tried contacting her. The girl had a vlogging channel on YouTube, but had taken it down when she thought Johnny was dead. It took months for him to reach her, and at first, she believed it was all a cruel prank. She lived there for a year, but returned to New Cyber City after the Ogalla aquifer dried up, causing a drought everywhere, from Montana to Texas. Food shortages were so dire that FEMA and Earth Corps could not quickly pack enough food. The famine ravaged her new hometown in Kansas. She watched her parents disintegrate from hard-working farmers to skin and bones over the first 11 months of the drought. Even conservation was just a bandage on a gaping wound. Then the dust clouds started. Images flow of the first storm, over 7,000 feet high. They called it the hand of the devil. In the field, when the storm arrived, Jackie and her mother struggled to escape safely. Her mother dashed into the field and grabbed Jackie. She pushed her toward an underground area, which they used to avoid tornadoes. As they ran, her mother tripped and fell. She screamed, but it drowned in the raging winds. Jackie reached the shelter and realized her mother did not follow. Immediately, she turned around to head back. Her mother, however, screamed for Jackie to get inside. Jackie wanted to return, but it was too late. The advancing storm engulfed her mother. The winds howled. Sand and dust filled the air, blackening the sky. Against the overpowering wind, the girl's hands buckled, heaving the door forward. Wind pounded her face as Jackie slammed the door shut and crumpled to the ground crying. The storm passed quickly, but Jackie froze on the dusty ground, unable to move. Hours passed before FEMA came to get her. Jackie's mother choked to death, but saved her. When the girl returned to New Cyber City, her dream to become a radio disc jockey reignited. Her father used some money and influence in the old scene to get her an internship with an oldies punk radio station that was on the decline. Then she ran into Johnny again. When they were kids, she dated Johnny, and part of her felt they were meant for each other. Indeed, her mother, a tarot card reader, predicted it. The two joked about it, but this time, he amazed her. Maybe pain drew them together. Feeling like damaged goods, Jackie and Johnny bonded because he was also a hurting puppy. He had arrived just a few months earlier after the tragic storm took Key West. His parents were heavy into the solar punk scene. When his carpenter father could not work, the local union helped pull some strings to get him to work on the developing seawall in Key West. His mother went to help with the microgrid. Both died. When he first returned, Johnny was broken, especially when he found out Jackie left. He told her stories of how he scraped around with mutual scene friends until she returned. Her father had some money, took Johnny in, and started Jackie's radio station when the station she worked for met its demise. They were happy young, adults in love. And then the war came.
Damn war,
the radio jockey says out loud. Her son glances over and she gives him a fake, all is well smile. This is not the first time she has uttered the phrase, so he quickly returns to his business. The war replaced her gentle, kind, and loving man with an empty shell, a shell that is mute. Her Johnny, the one she deeply loved, died in Iraq. Only he hadn't died. He lived. He was there, or at least his hollow form was. Her mind lingers on the thought.
Can I love the shell? A shell devoid of all ability to connect outside of his night terrors and frequent angry outbursts?
The first week he was home, he had awakened 3 times to grab his gun with his human hand. She thumps her hand down as tears sting the edges of her eyes. 2 decades of self-torture, breaking up and then reconciling. As the song finishes, Jackie takes a deep breath. The other DJ says his sign-off. The meal is over. Time to get up and prepare to work. Jackie stands in her kitchen, a blend of old and new. The sleek solar panels in the ceiling soak up the energy needed to power their home. Plants grow along the walls, not just for decoration, but for air purification, and even for food production. The solar punk ethos permeates every corner. Sustainable, green, and eco-friendly. The room is a sanctuary of peace amidst the chaos of New Cyber City. a reminder of what her and Johnny's parents stood for. She thinks.
We tried to build a better world.
Her fingers brush against the leafy greens.
But sometimes it feels like we're losing the fight.
Renewable energy systems hum becomes a comforting backdrop to her thoughts. She breathes in the clean, oxygen-rich air, feeling a pang of nostalgia for the simpler times. The solar punk values of her parents stand in stark contrast to the harsh realities of the city outside.
Maybe there's still hope, even in this mess.
She muses as she prepares to face the day.
We have to keep trying. For our children and for the future.
As she gets ready, a line from Joe Strummer echoes in her mind, offering a glimmer of hope. The future is unwritten. Joe Strummer. She holds on to those words, drawing strength from them as she faces the challenges ahead. Turtle Dove downs a bright purple drink that Madonna May places in front of her. She grimaces as the burning fluid hits the back of her throat and then slides down into her stomach.
Good, right?
Madonna May smirks. For years, when they get together, she likes to come up with some burning cocktails for her friend.
It kicks you in the damn gut. Whoa! I'll have another.
Before she gets out her request, a ruckus starts over by the center stage. A drunken sleazebag gets too touchy with one of the servers. Madonna May rubs a hand over her eyes, muttering.
There's always one.
And heads toward the trouble. Smiling, Turtle Dove stops her, getting languidly up from her stool. She cracks her knuckles and walks over to the loudmouth. Turtle Dove feels the rising cigarette smoke caress her cheeks as she moves forward. Ahead of her, the disturbance is limited to one buffoon. Drunkenly, he slurs his anger at everyone and everything. What do you fucking want, bitch? Staggering, he moves forward, downs the last beer in his bottle, and smashes it against a table. Dove licks her lips, smiling. She watches him swing his arm loosely over his head in front of her. She drops into a split, grabs his descending arm and twists it with her flick of her wrist, the broken bottle falling to smash upon the floor. Then, with her free arm, the killer grabs the drunk's groin and squeezes tight. The fool's face reddens as he tries to close his legs. His yelps in pain, and she twists his wrist until the bone cracks louder than the heavy metal music thumping its rhythm out of the speakers. Turtle Dove hears her orphanage sister heading over, and together they drag the guy out the back door. Turtle Dove hugs Madonna May again, correctly saying she'll come to visit soon. But deep inside, something tells her this will be her last time she sees her sister. It's an odd feeling, but she shrugs it off, promising.
I'll stop by the house soon.
Madonna May smiles, and they say their goodbyes as Turtle Dove drags the guy by his tie across the quad park to her charged quad.
Let's go for a ride. Sweet stuff.
With a vindictive smile, she ties his tie to a bumperette attached to her quad and gets in. Turning the music on, she idly scans through until the digital layout reads, "Dope die, motherfucker, die." It reads. She chuckles at this and ascends her sports quad up slowly. The drunk screams and yelps as he tries to yank free from his tie so he won't choke. His body leaves the asphalt, and he desperately stands on his tippy toes while spluttering curses, which Turtle Dove fails to hear as she picks up speed and turns the volume up. A light flashes on Turtle Dove's wristband.
Boss wants to talk now? Of all times.
She swipes the button.
Yeah, boss?
Can you explain this episode at the amusement park?
Guy was getting too close to one of my targets. So I took him out.
Couple errors in that report. First, he is not dead, but in the hospital in a coma. Second, he was not just some guy, but a police officer.
If you tell me the hospital, I can take care of the first problem.
I'd rather you come in. I need to discuss matters with you, as does a person I work with, Carl Long.
Busy right now, boss. I'm hunting the kid.
This takes priority. Please come to the Hastings building tonight. I'll be expecting you around 7 p.m. Frustration. Turtle Dove huffs.
Okay. I'll see you then.
The vehicle swerves into the stream of traffic, and the man's body slams forcefully into the side of the quad. His face swiftly transforms into all shades of purple as he tries not to strangle. Turtle Dove takes a quick look at the side mirror. The drunken asshole, she plays with gasps and squeals. She decides to take a dangerous nosedive. Horns blare and the man's body vaults up past the slipstream of the quickly descending quad. His tie rips from the pressure, and the man thrusts upward, arms waving frantically, into the incoming traffic. There is a sound of bones crunching as the impact snaps his back. Blood spurts from his mouth as his ribs crack and puncture his vital organs. He dies in seconds. However, the vehicle that hits him spins out of control. The poor woman behind the wheel, not knowing what hit her, screams as she is flung into the back of the shipping quad. The fireball from the explosion is enough to make Turtle Dove slow her descent and peer back. She mumbles,
What a silly man. Drink and fly. Drive-by kills tonight.
Johnny sits in his quad, fingers tapping on the wheel. He waits, trying to keep his mind focused on the present. Lightning flashes overhead, casting eerie shadows inside the vehicle. The flashing red light from a nearby sign catches his eye, and suddenly, he's back there again. They thought it was a terrorist base. Hell, probably was. Johnny orders the strike. Intelligence says there are no innocents inside. The unit rolls up the street. The red lights cover the tanks. They fire the shells. When the building is hit, people stream out. A young Muslim girl flees into the street and falls. Johnson recognizes her. She is bleeding profusely. He calls out to save her. He calls the medic. But she is dead. Behind her is a young boy. He is her brother. No more than 11 or so in age. He falls to the ground. Blood curdling, high-pitched, shrill screams emerge from deep inside the boy. The scream penetrates his ears. His face strains, twisted and turning red as the veins on his neck pop out. The blood spurts out of his mouth. He chokes, spitting out more blood. He screams, long, and takes a short breath. Johnny holds him. The screams stop for less than a second, for a breath. And then he screams again. The scream is more intense, desperate, longer, and deeper. Tears roll down his face and his eyes bulge. Johnny examines the boy's body. Sand fuses harshly with the skin on his stomach. It is like the sand is turned to glass, which is deeply fused into the skin. The medic reaches the boy's side. The medic injects him with morphine, but the screams keep coming. Johnny calls for a medvac and kneels beside the boy, grabbing his hand. Johnny sniffs the air. It smells like ozone. Johnny tries to calm the boy, but he cannot be comforted or consoled. Each scream is stopped for a brief breath, and when it returns, it is louder than before. Finally, after 7 minutes, he dies. Johnny lets go, still shaking and crying. Johnny thinks, why did it have to be like this? Johnny's mind raced. Why did I have to be the one to give the order? The memory is vivid, the horror etched into his mind. He feels the weight of the boy's body, the heat of the sand, the smell of blood and ozone. The screams echo in his ears, a haunting reminder of his actions. I can't escape this, he realizes. No matter how far I run, or how much I try to forget, it's always there. His hands tremble on the wheel, the PTSD symptoms flaring up. He takes a deep breath, trying to steady himself. The lightning flashes again, illuminating the dark interior of the quad. Damn it. Focus, Johnny. You have a job to do. You can't let the past control you. But the past is relentless, a ghost that refuses to be exorcised. He sees the boy's face, the terror, the pain in his eyes. He hears the screams, feels the sand turning to glass under his fingers. I have to keep going. He tells himself, I have to find Eddie. I have to make things right. The tension builds, and the horror of his memories clashes with the urgency of his mission. Johnny knows that he can't afford to falter. Not now. The stakes are too high, and the consequences are too dire. Hang in there, Johnny. You can do this. You have to do this. His grip on the wheel tightens. Sweat pouts over his palm, and the leather absorbs it. His resolve hardens. The lightning flashes again, and he drives forward, determined to face whatever comes next. The red light continues to flash, constant trigger, but Johnny refuses to let it paralyze him. Instead, it fuels his determination to make amends for the past and protect the future. But deep inside, he knows life does not work that way. The past is always the past, and you cannot really pay it forward. Tom sits at his oak wood office desk, the light from a small lamp caressing his face. His fingers drum nervously on the wooden surface, betraying his anxiety. The intercom buzzes. He reaches down and flips the switch.
Tom, Mr. Hastings is asking for you to come to his office.
Fear runs up and down Tom's spine. He knows that Hastings has a temper. Bolting from his desk, Tom immediately enters the elevator and up to Hastings' floor. On the way, Tom wants to smoke, but he doesn't have any cigarettes. He mumbles, curses to himself, his hands shaking slightly. God, I hope this is not what I think it is. When he enters the room, old man Hastings sits in his wheelchair, his face stern and lined with age. After several minutes, the old man takes a deep breath, his eyes scanning the room. Next to him are Professor Louis and Michael Elton Quid. Professor Louis is wearing a velvet riding outfit, which Tom feels is strangely out of place for this setting. The suit has her name embroidered in black over the pocket. The belt on her waist has sapphires and diamonds on it. She is one peculiar lady, Tom thinks, his brow furrowing slightly. However, at one point, he suspected she had been having an affair with the decrepit old man. Michael is a slim young man, whom many feel is dim-witted enough to play his entire life as someone else's fool. Hastings' fool. His eyes dart around the room nervously, and he shifts uncomfortably on his feet. Carl Long, the man Tom worries will eventually capture his job, appears behind Tom at the door. His face expresses his smug confidence. Tom notices the office has a strange camphor smell and is much warmer than usual. Old man Hastings coughs loudly, the sound harsh and grating, and reaches for a handkerchief in his pocket. After composing himself, he says, "Before we get started, as people still file in, Carl, where are we with tracking the kids?" "My operative is still on it. I plan to meet with her tonight to review her progress and discuss some issues that have gone awry." Hastings nods and strokes his chin. "I look forward to these matters being settled." "As do I, sir." "Now the circle is complete. My friends, you all gather here as my most trusted and valued staff. The coming weeks will be madness and mayhem, but tomorrow we shall dine as friends for possibly the last time." Confused stares move around the room. No one speaks a word. The buzz of an electric lamp echoes through the silent room. Hastings continues, "I have something to share with you, my friends."
What is it, sir?
Louis openly questions, her voice trembling with anxiety. The old man surveys the room and waits. He seems to drift off, his gaze distant. And then he finally announces, "It is about the tests." "Have the tests not gone well?" interrupts Carl, his face tightening with concern. A single tear forms in the eye of the old man, glistening in the dim light. "No, they have not gone well." An awkward silence ensues. Finally, the old man says, "I have advanced stage of cancer. I am dying. Life is tough. After 100 years of life and my struggles, it is the way of things." Hastings knows that he could have lived much longer if he did not constantly struggle to block the nanites that swam in his blood. The crowd collectively gasps. Professor Louis breaks into tears, her face contorting with grief. Michael's mouth falls open in shock. Tom stares, puzzled and frozen, his mind racing. Is this really happening? Tom thinks, his heart thunders in his chest. What does this mean for us, for the company? Hastings' revelation hangs heavy in the air, pressing down on everyone in the room. The world's richest, and recently the oldest, prepares his crew for his passing. Tom's breath comes in shallow gasps as he tries to process the news, his mind swirling with fear, uncertainty, and a strange sense of impending doom. Clicking the lamp on in her room, Daisy starts reading the next page of Hastings' journal. She's growing tired, rubbing the back of her neck, but she wants to get a few more pages read before nightfall. The following passage surprises her.
Dear Diary, 8/2/49. I failed to mention to you yesterday that I received a visitor after the meeting. He reported that he was a government official working under the Department of Homeland Security. I had not mentioned it before because I had not felt it was necessary. The gentleman asked if I could place a program on the disk that would make it accessible to conscious recall, but was programming the subconscious. My response, of course, was that I was not the expert and that Brenda was the person who would know for sure. But in theory, one could alter the program so that they were processed in a more primitive center of the brain, maybe somewhere in the cingulate cortex. I told him, but if he was talking about subliminal messages, that crap was all disproved by the early 1990s. Diary, I have taken this time to relate this trivial information to you because we will receive a government research scientist come the new year. He will work on a top-secret project on our chip program and report to no one in our department. I called the government about him, and they asked that I keep him as a personal favor. I called Dr. Greenspan on the moon, and he told me that he had a similar official in Dr. Greenspan's lab. Frankly, this has left me deeply concerned. My stomach is in knots. My emotional tone is down in the dumps. Robert Hastings.
It refers to the United States government. The old government, before the corporate council. Daisy's heartbeat quickens. She knows non-corporate governments are not trusted, and worry knots in her stomach. She never supports the corporate council, even when it tried to help people. Now its cruelty to citizens is beyond comparison. She wonders,
why is Hastings writing about this? Seems more like a confession than a diary. No attempt to make himself seem more human and less narcissistic.
Her eyes scan the page with growing urgency. The words blur slightly as she fights to stay focused. Her fingers grip the edges of the journal tighter.
Still, Robert, what is the source of your longevity? Where is your power from?
She flips the page to the next entry, a horror flushing her face.
Dear Diary, 12/1/49. John has been captured. Forgive my lack of formality, but I've gotten word that Dr. Rutledge was abducted by those vile terrorist scum. How could they? He has done nothing but push humanity forward, giving us innovation that no one else could dream of. And he is repaid by idiots who refuse to look ahead. This is bullshit. EarthCorps has tirelessly pursued this matter because they know how much more value he has to humanity. Has tirelessly pursued this matter because they know how much more value he has to humanity. I will be excited to hear when they bring him home safe. Robert Hastings.
Each sentence pulled her deeper into a web of intrigue and danger. But this was, instead, unbridled rage. That was not common for him at all. The air in the room feels heavier. The shadows cast by the lamp dancing ominously on the walls. She can almost hear Hastings' voice. She always believed he was a whisper echoing through the pages, revealing secrets long buried. But the sound of him yelling terrifies her more.
This isn't just an entry. This could be the key to everything.
Her exhaustion fades as adrenaline takes over. She turns the page, her breathing hitching. The tension builds with every word, each revelation more shocking than the last. Daisy feels a chill run down her spine as she pieces the puzzle Hastings has laid out together. She thinks,
I have to know more.
Her pulse races.
I have to understand what he's warning about.
The room seems to close in around her, the lamp's light a beacon in the encroaching darkness. Daisy leans closer to the journal, her eyes wide with anticipation and fear. The excitement of discovery mingles with the dread of what she might find.
Robert, what did you uncover?
She mentally asks, her heart pounding.
And why is it so dangerous?
Daisy dives back into the text with renewed determination, ready to face whatever secrets Hastings has left behind. The night stretches ahead, filled with uncertainty and the promise of revelation. Hundreds of thoughts dance in Daisy's head. She stops, taking notes, to call and report the information to Johnny. But the phone rings repeatedly. Frustrated, she finally returns to logging her thoughts and reading the diary. Throwing off the headset and grabbing her bag, Jackie darts out of the studio door and down the radio station's corridors. She automatically waves, her body going on autopilot, as she leaves the building she calls a second home. Jackie strolls into her home where bioluminescent lights glow softly. In the kitchen, Barry Manilow's When Will I See You Again plays.
Hello, cat. Beat me to it, I see. I'm sorry.
Jackie shakes herself out of her light jacket and hangs it up on the coat tree, smelling chicken roasting with sweet potatoes and more. Next to her coat lies Katrina's little leather coat. Her daughter has beaten her once again to finish the meal. Katrina turning around, smiling warmly.
Hi, Mom. That's okay. I got it covered.
Jackie glides into a warm kitchen where the cooking stews. The smells are angelic. She watches her daughter as she acts like an octopus, spinning and turning full pans, adding salt and pepper to each on separate occasions. Katrina puts her spoon down and walks over to her mother, and they embrace tightly.
Saw Dad a couple days ago at the retro arcade. Oh, what was he doing there? Said he was working on a case. Some kid is missing. So they hired him to find the kid? Yeah, he showed me a picture. Cute kid, about 11 years old. Rumor is someone is hunting teen and pre-teen boys, but the city denies it. Probably just a coincidence. Lots of runaways.
Katrina nods, and then she switches the subject.
I miss Dad, Mom. When will he be home?
Jackie's heart aches at her daughter's words. She strokes Katrina's hair gently.
I know, sweetie. I miss him too.
Katrina draws back slightly, eyes searching Jackie's face.
Mom, do you ever regret leaving him?
Jackie's breath catches in her throat. She looks away, her eyes misty.
Sometimes, Kat. Sometimes I wonder if I did the right thing. We were good together. And I am not just talking about the war. Of course, he was more alive then. After the war, he felt dead. But we still had some okay times. But then he ran with that woman, Trixie. We knew her when we were kids. We were friends. But I go back and forth on thinking they were having an affair.
Katrina hugs her tightly, sensing her mother's inner turmoil.
We'll get through this, Mom. We have to.
Jackie nods, trying to smile through her tears. The kitchen's warmth and her daughter's embrace offer fleeting comfort in the face of her doubts and fears. As she draws away, she picks her smock off the hanger and puts it on. The bioluminescent lights cast a gentle glow, illuminating the love and pain that fill the room.
Yes, Kat. We'll get through this. Together.
The moment of connection between mother and daughter renews Jackie's strength. She takes a deep breath, ready to face whatever challenges come their way, knowing they have each other. By nightfall, Johnson returns to Hastings' building. He plans to go inside to find the truth. What is the corporation's plan for Eddie? He worries about what could be behind the corporate walls. The detective understands that if he is caught, he could be sentenced to death for corporate espionage. Despite this, he takes a gulp and starts forward, his mind racing. I'm terrified. Hastings was a great man. I remember him giving a speech about achieving a world without war and without poverty. Of course, that world never came to be. Fuck him and the pain he brings. What did come to be was a world without unions and organized labor. A world where the corporate council ruled and tentative alliance existed in which each made an agreement and then worked to cheat the deal to help their profits. The world had a recession almost every 2 years from some corporate excess, which predictably led to the system collapsing. But workers always remained employed for lower wages. Slowly, the detective rounds the corner. The door to the building rests shut, and inside, there's a guard desk. He decides to circle the building to find another entrance. Through a basement window, Johnson enters the Hastings building. He knows it is only a matter of time before security is alerted to his presence. The basement lacks upkeep. It is a blackened chamber that spreads into the darkness before him, filled with boxes. It is covered in dust. The only illumination is a small yellow light in the distance. Johnson wonders what is casting the light. Cautiously, he proceeds, hearing a hum like a fan and machinery's metal grind. In the far corner of the basement is a door. Walking toward it, he notices the sign, Lab Access. Johnson pushes toward the roof, but then he hears the moving of boxes and flashlights gleaming in the distance. Instantly, he knows it is security, and they are searching for him. Great. Just my luck. Johnson curses and turns to dive behind the boxes, bumping into a guard. Twice the gumshoe size, Johnny worries he'll be torn to shreds. For a nanosecond, the guard stares in disbelief. Then, in a flash, the guard's eyes flicker hostile and his mouth draws into a sneer. He reaches to grab Johnny's arm for cuffing, but the detective twists out of his grip. As they circle each other, the guard swings. Johnson ducks under and twists the guard's arm. The guard spins his wrist in and breaks the hold but grimaces. Johnson kicks out. The guard catches his leg and tosses him to the ground. As Johnson gets up, the guard kicks him in the chest. Johnny staggers and falls again. Laughing and drawing out a taser, the guard approaches him, and Johnson manages to sweep his legs under the guard, knocking him off balance. The fall proves enough to cause the guard to drop the taser. When the guard falls, Johnson kicks the taser away into the corner of the room behind some old metal shelves and cardboard boxes. Relief washes over the old detective, but at least 24 security officers have arrived in the time it takes him to neutralize the guard. They talk loud enough for him to tell they have attack helmets for coordination. Having wounded one, tasers are now off the option board, replaced by more lethal weapons for his capture. I need some cover, and I need it quickly. Well, that will teach you to try that bullshit with me, Johnson announces, and with that, the detective walks away from the area. The guard is still on the ground and bleeding, so the security forces go to him first as Johnson scurries quickly from the scene. Every move counts, Johnny. The roast chicken with sweet potatoes is delicious. Jackie and Katrina sit at the dinner table, the meal's aroma filling the air. It is gentle and light, hinting that the chicken is juicy. When they cut in, the chicken is perfectly roasted, its skin crispy and golden brown with a hint of rosemary and thyme.
Katrina, this is perfect. You did a great job. Thanks, Mom.
The sweet potatoes are caramelized to perfection, their natural sweetness balanced by a touch of cinnamon and nutmeg. Katrina scoops the potatoes on her plate. Jackie carves the thigh and leg, her favorite.
Working going good? Yeah, I met with a guy today, and he told me about solar paint. It's some awesome stuff. The paint contains photovoltaic solar cells embedded in a wafer-thin coating, 4 micrometers thick, thinner than any human hair. If they develop it, I might even think about getting a quad.
Katrina sees an opportunity to shift the subject in her direction.
You met with a guy today? Just friends, dear. Nothing more. So you really think he had an affair with Trixie? There were signs. He became less attentive after the war. I remember my 9th birthday. He was sitting on the chair at the party and in the house. It was like he zoned out for 3 hours. You said he was just sick. Yeah, that was his PTSD. He couldn't bring himself down. Afraid that people would overreact or get moody. So that wasn't related to Trixie?
Jackie fidgets with her fork, her eyes reflecting sorrow and frustration.
Not directly. There were other signs, though. Late nights, mysterious phone calls. He was distant. But I think a lot of it was the job and his anxiety. But Mom, don't you think it was just the stress from his job? Being a detective isn't easy, especially after everything he's been through. Detectives tend to get calls from weird people and stuff like that.
Jackie looks into her daughter's earnest eyes, seeing the hope and desire for a simple explanation. She takes a bite of the chicken, savoring its rich, juicy flavor, the herbs dancing on her taste buds.
You're right, Kat. His job brought a lot of stress and anxiety. Sometimes I think I might have misread things. The war changed him, and he was struggling with so much. When I saw Dad, I confronted him about Trixie. He denied he had an affair. Seemed pretty convincing. It just does not strike me as him. Baby, you should not have done that. You always tell me to give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe Dad deserves that too.
Jackie nods, her heart heavy with doubts and regrets. She takes another bite, the sweetness of the potatoes mingling with the savory chicken. A small comfort in this moment of uncertainty.
You're wise beyond your years, Kat. We all make mistakes and jump to conclusions. I just wish I had been more patient, more understanding. Well, no need for the platitudes, but thanks. Hey, did you ever put it to a card reading? Nope. Too scared as to what I might find out. Besides, you don't believe in that stuff. But you do, and that is what matters here.
They share a quiet moment, the delicious meal providing comforting backdrop to their conversation. The flavors of the food, rich and comforting, add a sense of warmth and home to their interaction.
We still have each other, Mom, and I know Dad loves us, even if he's not here right now. Yes, we do. And that's what matters.
As they continue their dinner, the bond between mother and daughter strengthens, offering a glimmer of hope for the future amidst the lingering shadows of the past. The taste of the meal, full of love and care, binds them together as they navigate their complex emotions.
Dear Diary, 12/16/49. After 2 weeks of holding my breath, Dr. Rutledge has been rescued. After triangulating his position to Dabiq, Syria, the government sent the daredevils, the team involved in the Rutledge-Harris experiment, to raid the location they suspected he was being held. According to John, the scene was a mess, and he worried for his life in the midst of the carnage. He also felt comfortable explaining why, as it seems like he wanted to negotiate a ceasefire so he could access a beacon in the town. He was unsure of if it related to his serum. I'm just glad he's okay. Robert Hastings.
As Daisy reads on, a mouse stirs by the foot of her bed. She suppresses a desire to scream, throwing a pillow at it first. She tries to leap out of bed, but the mouse scuttles away. Daisy creeps across her bed sheets and then returns to her reading.
Dear Diary, 1/1/50. I am an old fool for worrying about the government and Earth Corp's activities. On day 1, the new worker showed up. He was not wearing a uniform, nor did he present with some radical idea. For the most part, he was pleasant. Today, the government released a report in the department detailing the activities of Xavier Hirsch, our new worker. According to the report, our very young Dr. Hirsch is working on the application of the chip for reorienting sex offenders and drug addicts. It appears to me that this could be a useful application of our therapeutic chip. Still, the report does not note whether this therapy will be covert or overt. I guess that is the reason for my sickening feeling. My stomach aches, and something still bothers me. But I will take a wait-and-see attitude to this project. I feel that our training chip could reduce a lot of sorrow and suffering from these types of offenders. But if it is a covert-oriented program, I would be reluctant to see it used. Hell, the whole idea bothers me. Worse still, if it comes from our labs, the backlash from the community would be massive. I'm not sure our stock will survive the market reaction. Still, part of me feels the potential gain would be worth my ethical quandary. Robert Hastings.
Raising her eyebrow, Daisy pauses, and her eyes widen. The sickening ache that Robert felt has latched onto her. Daisy glances up briefly to see if the mouse has returned. Seeing it is not, Daisy frowns at the page and continues to read the next entry. It is over a month later.
Dear Diary, 5/15/50. Sorry it's been so long since I have written. I will try to be more focused in the future. It is the best time of my life. My daughter, barely 19 years old, graduated today from Temple University. This would have been unheard of as a student, except for a few intellectually elite. Usually those were strange cases. Today, thanks to the new computer learning terminals, teachers can supervise cyber students on an individualized basis. The computer quizzing and testing systems have been designed to give immediate feedback and reinforce correct responses or reteach material that was incorrectly learned. Even my son, who 50 years ago might have been confined to a warehousing classroom, is learning complex skills today. Speaking of Mike, his behavior analyst was at the house last week to update his functional behavior assessment. He targeted several behaviors and concluded they were mostly done to escape activities. He developed a plan for us to follow. Also, Mike's psychiatrist prescribed him an increase in his modafinil to keep him focused on his material and added the old cognitive enhancer, memantine. Between the medication change and the behavioral interventions, Mike's disruption is down this week, and his learning rates are way up. Still, part of me hopes Brenda's research will directly apply to Mike's condition. Maybe I am just being a selfish father. The miracles of the modern age never cease. My children will have an excellent future, and I feel I can dismiss my pre-morbid occupation with the jumpies. Superiority. My daughter said she desires to attend medical school and become a clinician treating genetic diseases. She will make an excellent therapist. Robert Hastings.
Officer J sits in his vehicle. Soft, ambient music plays as he smokes a cigarette. He inhales deeply, taking the nicotine into his lungs. He glances onto the rearview mirror and grins. Officer J prides himself on being 100% human, all flesh and bone. A lot of the other officers in his precinct are getting body enhancements. Lung enhancements are a small technological breakthrough to help people inhale more oxygen into their lungs, especially when running. However, sports officials have ruled out any enhanced lung capacitors for the running field, so runners tend to shop on the black market. Smoking is his one vice, a habit he has tried to kick a while ago and plans to try again soon. He does not know when. Not now, as he enjoys filling his lungs with the nicotine. It indeed relaxes him. As he takes another drag, Jay's thoughts drift to Detective Black lying in the hospital. The image of Black in a coma, the knife wound severe enough to require liver surgery, haunts him. Jay remembers a conversation with the doctor about regrowing a stem cell-generated liver. It will be a long and expensive process, but the police union's excellent insurance will cover the costs. I hope he pulls through, Jay thinks, the worry gnawing at him. Black's a tough guy, but this is serious. Damn! Knife came too close to ending his life. The officer exhales a plume of smoke, the ambient music doing little to ease his anxiety. The stabbing shook everyone in the precinct, a stark reminder of the dangers they face daily. Jay's mind races, replaying the events that led to Black's injury. Reds and Mikolai's mentioned Black wanted on the Eddie White case. They suspected he was trying to hunt down that serial killer. Jay wonders, we need him back. We need his experience and his leadership. This place isn't the same without him. Maybe I should contact Justin's social worker. See if the kid knows anything about Eddie. Jay flicks the ash from his cigarette out the window, his thoughts heavy. The streetlights cast long shadows. The night feeling more oppressive than usual. He checks his watch, knowing he should head back to the hospital soon to check on Black. Come on, Black. Hang in there. We are all rooting for you. The cigarette burns down to the filter and Jay stubs it out, the bitter taste lingering in his mouth. He starts the engine, the soft hum of the car a stark contrast to his turbulent thoughts. Why is there no APB out on the suspect? Damn cop killer and fucking Johnson. Gave what he could of a description. I know it is not much, but it seems like the department is suppressing, doing the basics. How many kids and now cops need to die before they get off their asses? No more running away from this. Jay resolves. Time to face it, head on, just like Blackwood. With a final glance in the rearview mirror, Jay hauls out onto the street and hovers up 12 feet from the ground. The worry for his friend still a heavy weight on his shoulders. The road ahead is uncertain, but he knows he has to keep moving forward for Black and the precinct. Black was onto something with Eddie White. We need to pick up where he left off. Cautiously, Johnson stares down the hall. Then he hears clinking metal. He jumps to the side, hiding behind one of the boxes in the hall. The sounds grow closer. Ahead of him, the hum of machinery lifting and thumping metallic legs grows louder and louder. The ground shakes. The humming noise shifts from a gentle tone to an angry, high-velocity pitch. As an electronic snarl forces, Johnson gulps and looks up. Two mechanical German shepherds, more prominent than he has ever seen before, appear ahead. With shiny purple eyes, the beasts stare in his direction. Johnson holds his breath. He knows if the dogs see him, there's a good chance he will not survive. They would tear him to pieces limb by limb. Strangely, at this moment, he worries about the kid. He wants to get the kid back, home safely. He wants to make this one right. The mechanical dogs clunk, and the mechanical grind echoes. The electric turbine engines propelling the dogs' legs become more powerful as they stalk forward. Each step shakes the floor as they come closer and closer to Johnson. His brain screams, "Shit!" But his voice box knows not to make a sound. If the dogs hear him, they attack. Their sharp teeth glisten. The iron jaws appear like they could inflict massive damage to his skin. Heart pounding, Johnson hopes the mechanical dogs cannot hear him. As the dogs' mechanical ears prick up, he realizes they can. In one motion, the dogs charge the box he is behind. He darts from his huddled position to a full run. The dogs are behind him. With the dogs closing in, he hears them barking their mechanical barks. 10 steps behind him. 6 steps behind him. Johnson knows that if the dogs reach him, they'd rip him to shreds. He needs to get them first. Choosing the Smith & Wesson for its power, he spins to fire the ionizer cannon. The burst of laser smashes into the circuits just as the second dog hits his arm. The huge metal canine teeth sink deep into his flesh. Dropping the ionizer, Johnson screams in pain. The metal dog twists and thrashes, trying to pull Johnson down. For a moment, a sudden and childish thought attacks him. He wishes the dog got a taste of its own medicine and bit down into his mechanical arm. But the pain knocks him from all those petty thoughts, and he yells. Pulling back in a vain attempt to keep standing, Johnson feels his arm gushing blood. The sight would have caused most to wither in shock. But Johnny saw far worse during the war. He swings his bionic arm around, and it clasps the dog's neck. He clenches the metal beast hard, and the neck snaps. Electricity sparks out of the dog, and the smell of burning electrical wires mixed with motor oil fills Johnny's breath. Its mechanical body falls. The legs of the dog are still active, trying to use their weight to squash him. Phosphorescent green hydraulic fluid spurts like a tachycardia heart rate into the air. He crawls on the floor to his weapon. It fires the ionizer blast into the beheaded metal dog's body. The energy ball melts away, and the circuits fry. A blue flame rolls off the machine's remains and barely licks Johnny's skin before disappearing. As the dog drops, the lights on the floor begin to flash red. The alarms echo through the hall. Looking around the room, Johnson sees the air vent in the ceiling. He manages to leap up and open it. The floor doors open, and the detective hears barking dogs in the distance. He leaps up once more and pulls himself into the vent. He feels his age as he crawls into the vent. The searing pain from the bite into his excellent arm is causing him grief. Blood drips out of it, and he has nothing on him to tighten off the flow. Curses and slithers along the vents, red smearing across the metal surfaces, where his wounded arm rubs up against it. The horrible thought of rats pops into his mind. He curses himself as he goes on through the vents. In his Riviere and self-pity, the private eye almost misses the sounds of movement underneath him. He stops just as a laser blast from a double-ion cannon vaporizes a hole in the air vent in front of him. The next minute, Johnson finds himself falling into the spacious room. With a bang, he lands hard on the single desk in the room. He thinks, just my luck. Can't catch a break tonight. Trying to regain his bearings. Daisy quietly pours liquid from her watering can onto the rose bed. She watches as the first few drops fall from the can. The water hits the plants, and their sweet aroma reaches Daisy's nose. Her smile shifts to a frown when noticing some brown on one of the leaves. She checks the leaf to ensure the plant will not droop, wither, and die. Brushing the petal with her finger, her palm feels wet, and she wipes her hand on the side of her blouse.
Gotta keep these beauties alive,
Daisy thinks, determination in her eyes. After watering the plant, the woman enters the living room, grabs Hastings' diary, and opens it. Picking up where she left off, her heart races with anticipation. Noises in her hallway distract her, but she tries hard to focus on the words on the page.
I know I am getting close to the key to understanding Robert Hastings and his secrets.
The atmosphere in the room feels charged, the tension building as she delves deeper into the diary. Each word pulls her into Hastings' world, filled with intrigue and danger.
Mice be damned. I can't stop now. I have to know what happens next.
As she reads, the noises fade into the background, and Daisy becomes wholly absorbed in the revelations on the pages. The excitement and suspense are palpable. Every moment a step closer to uncovering answers.
Dear Diary, 6/1/50. I just had the most horrifying and exciting news presented to me simultaneously. First, the good news. Sam Clark's latest assessment shows that the chip has cracked the 25% learning curve with sex offenders. With this level of efficiency now within our grasp, we indeed hold the key to the future of sex offender treatment. The government again has reassured me that since it comes from our labs, we will hold propriety rights over the chip design. The more frightening news from his study was that the program causes the chip to bind to aggression centers in the primitive reptilian part of the brain, not in the areas of the cortex at all. Thus, it seems that they must be using a covert messaging that is very primal. Finally, his research seems bifurcating, as this area would be entirely wrong for anti-drug messages. Dr. Hirsch has been working very closely with Sam in the last few weeks, and they are making incredible progress together. Damn, I wish I had kept up with my skills as a computer hacker. Wait, that just gave me an idea. I bet my friend Siphon Delves could crack that system. But I have not seen the guy since we graduated college. The last time I saw him, he was getting ready to move out to Los Angeles. He was trying to get a job in Silicon Valley. Maybe I could call information on the West Coast. Or just try looking him up on the internet. I bet he frequents social networking sites. He might even have a Twitter account. If I cannot find him, there are several local detectives that I know of who could get their material. I am sure for some cash, they would give the system a whirl. On a related note, I spoke to Brenda, who reports that she and Dr. Falzo have improved considerably in the nanite version of the chip to perform glial functions. She thinks the chip holds promise to be a general nanite that could engage in other functions in the body as well. If it is true, then Hastings is on the verge of dominating medicine in the 21st century. Robert Hastings.
Daisy stares at the signature on the page. She assesses Robert's handwriting, noting it's more erratic as he writes this diary piece. Maybe he was rushed, she thinks. She continues to the next diary entry. The date is roughly 2 weeks later.
Dear Diary, 6/24/50. What a day it has been. Poor Sam Clark was found dead. His cause of death was listed as a heart attack. Massive coronary. He was so young. Maybe it was a byproduct to the sensitivity that the jumpies display. Damn. He was going places. He had the world by the testicles. Robert Hastings.
Johnson clambers off the desk. His side aches, launching waves of agony that numb his fingers and toes, and his back muscles tighten into a spasm. He is unsure if he will be able to stand. As he gradually rises, he hears a growl. In an instant, a mechanical dog jumps on top of Johnson. The weight of the beast knocks Johnson to the ground and sends his ionizer skittering across the floor. Barely catching the creature's mouth, Johnson tries to hold the dog's throat as tightly as possible. The jaws move to bite into his fake skin. Finally, the mechanical dog reaches its goal, and its teeth bite into the skin. Electric sparks fly from Johnson's arm as it shorts out. The surging electricity makes Johnson scream in pain. The creature shakes its metallic head and spins Johnson like a dirty dish rag over the nearest desk. The teeth rip deep into the fake skin and wire of the bionic arm. Johnson shoves his hand directly into the mechanical dog's mouth. The force of his bionic hand recoils the beast. When it does so, Johnson grabs the machine and slams it to the ground, hard. The creature twists and whirls up to its feet. The dog charges straight at Johnson. The mechanical dog bites and its teeth close on his synthetic skin. It knocks Johnson backward to the floor. Sweat pours from the detective's skin. His ionizer lies off to his side, and he reaches his hand toward it. However, the gun is several inches too far away. His heart races. Johnson pleads with himself, hoping this is not the end. Thoughts berate him as he realizes he has so many things left he wants to say to Jackie. So many things he hopes to resolve with his kids. Furious, he cannot let it end like this. With rage and strength he did not know he possessed, Johnson struggles to his feet, pushes the creature back, and then jumps towards it, giving it a thunderous kick. The loud clunk echoes in the room. Johnson hits the creature hard, but it is Johnson who flies backward. When he lands on the ground, he bounces just a few feet from the ionizer. He has no choice. As the creature is moving toward him, he has to reach it. As the creature hits him, his fingers touch the outside of the gun and pull it into his palm. He doesn't have a moment to relish, even a brief sigh of relief, as the mechanical security dog tries to clamp down on him again. He tightens his grip on the ion blaster, raises it toward the creature's face, and fires point blank. The weapon's concentrated blast hits the mechanical dog and explodes it into pieces. Chunks of the steel clatter noisily to the floor around him. Sweat pours from Johnson as he gently kisses the warmth of his gun. Thank you. He stands, shaking for a moment, and then glanced at his bionic arm. The ripped faux flesh falls off, and the wires short. Blue electric sparks leap out. Johnny thinks, not good. Eddie thinks he looks hilarious with the mohawk. He grabs his side and laughs while Justin just stares at him. What is so funny? Justin asks tersely, but Eddie cannot stop laughing. Eddie falls to the floor, tears streaming down his face as he rolls on the ground. Maybe it is just the relief of finding a safe place after so many restless nights. Eddie is glad that Justin and he became friends in prison. Justin is annoyed, but finally turns his back to Eddie and marches away. That's what I get for covering for you with the cop. Eddie is surprised by Justin's leaving. Hey, where are you going? To see a woman about renting an apartment. Suddenly, Eddie stops laughing. Why? Is all the boy can mutter. Hide out in case the cops come for us. Detective Black was pretty clear that he would be getting many more visits until we turned you over. Not good for business. Not good at all. Though still flustered, Eddie manages to note. But you're too young to rent. Herbert Jones ain't. Who's he? Justin stops, turns, and pulls his wallet out of his pocket. He opens it and hands Eddie an identification card. It is Justin's picture, but it reads Herbert Jones, and Jones is 19. Alter ego? Either that or wait here for Black to bust us. Need to work you harder to make sure we can afford it, though. Kind of a one-room thing. Eddie shrugs. He knows this means getting deeper into the gang's illegal activity, but he has no other choice. They are doing this for him. So, where's the place? Eddie asks, handing the card back to Justin. 6 blocks from here? Need to get a background check. I'll give you the number of where to hack to make the credit good. Not stellar. It could come off as suspicious for a 19-year-old. If I get it, I will give you the address tomorrow night. Fingers crossed. Justin heads out to meet the realtor agent. Engrossed in the diary, Daisy feels attached and connected to the story. Driven to learn more about Hastings, she senses that it is critical to the current case, so she continues to read.
Dear Diary, 6/29/50. Death is indeed a spectator sport, and viewing it is doubly so. Brenda and I just spent the last hour at the funeral home. We met Sam's parents and offered them our shallow words of comfort. I walked to the casket to say my final goodbye and was struck by Sam's face. It was like he was smiling. He knew something and was taking it to his grave without telling us. Maybe he was happy to die, and part of me strangely felt sorry I could not join him. I guess he found his heaven. Brenda thinks my assessment is insane. She thinks I need to take it easy for a few days. Robert Hastings.
Daisy takes some quick notes and then reads the lower portion of the page, where the next entry starts. She feels compassionate about Robert's plight.
Dear Diary, 7/1/50. I was finally able to video conference with Siphon Delves. He emailed me a series of programs designed to crack into pretty much any system. The question is, am I prepared to use them? Part of me wants to stay out of this matter. I mean, I am naive now. I have deniability. I will not have that if these programs are successful. It is probably nothing, and I have overanalyzed the information. Still, even as I talk into this computer program, my blood pounds in my veins, and I can hear it rushing through my ears. My palms are so sweaty, and I have run them several times over my pants to wipe off the moisture. On the brighter side, Brenda's program appears to work in animals. The nanites work to restore and rebuild damaged tissue. And Dr. Falso says they can heal the nervous system. He surprised me when he told me that nanobots can even harvest genes. Robert Hastings.
Johnson reaches a lab in the basement of Hastings Corporation. He peers around the room. Next to the wall sits a tube-like chamber with something inside. He takes a deep breath. The chamber is filled with a blue-gray fluid. The creature inside glows, but appears to be in suspended animation. Johnson's heart pounds as he takes in the eerie sight. Time drifts swiftly as Johnson searches, the tension building with each passing second. He is not even sure what he is looking for, but he knows this is one of the research areas. The plaque on the wall is a doctoral diploma for Dr. Louis. A desk in the center of the office catches his eye. On top of it is a case. Johnson reaches down and picks up the case from Professor Louis' desk. Whatever is inside is unknown to the outside world, and indeed known to very few, even within Hastings Corporation. He gulps a deep breath and contemplates the top. The words nanites and mutant gene 6 are scrawled in black ink. He opens the box, and inside is a DVD. Johnson shoves the disc into his pocket and wanders back to the duct, every nerve on edge. He knows that Hastings security will come hunting for him once his actions are discovered. He heaves himself up into the ducts and pulls the cover up, just as the two security guards, heavily armed, peered into the room. Sweat beads on his forehead as he listens to their heavy footsteps and low murmurs. His heart pounds. He hears people talking in the hall. "This way, ma'am. Carl Long will meet with you in the conference room." Johnny catches the side of the face as the woman walks through the hall. Suddenly, Turtle Dove peeks up from behind them as they pivot around to carry on her stroll to the conference room. Johnny fumbles with the face in his head as he backs up. Johnny withdraws in the vent and stares into a lab. In the center of the room is a large glass tube. He notices something or someone is in it. His eyes widen in horror as he catches the sight of a kid in the tube. His features grotesque and unsettling. Lines run into the teen's arms. The fluid bubbles ominously around it, casting an eerie green glow. Johnny thinks, "Oh, shit. Is this what they have planned for Eddie?" Johnson's breath quickens, worried about the kid. He briefly thinks to try to break the tank, then wonders if that would kill its inhabitant. This is information he needs to get to Officer J. Maybe he can get a court order or something to have the child freed. Knowing the corporate council, they will probably argue it's just some kid who agreed to medical treatment, receiving it. Without knowing for sure, Johnny feels powerless. He knows he must move quickly, but the sight of the teen sends a shiver down his spine. The lab reeks of antiseptic isopropyl alcohol and something far more sinister. His senses are heightened, every sound amplified, and he inches his way through the ducts, praying he won't be discovered. He wonders, was it a woman I saw stab Detective Black? I can't be sure, with the fog around him. Everything happened so fast. Suddenly, the duck feels claustrophobic, the metal cold against his skin. He can hear the bubbling of the tank and the distant sound of the guards searching for him. Each movement sends a jolt of pain through his injured arm, the faux flesh peeling away to reveal shorting wires. Johnny thinks, fucking house of horrors. I have to get out of here. I have to get this information out. I got some friends in the tabloids who will print it. The shadows in the lab seem to move, the air thick with tension. Johnson knows that one misstep could mean his end. He pushes forward, determined to escape and expose whatever horrors Hastings Corporation is hiding. Was it really the person who tried to kill Detective Black? If so, why the hell is she here in Hastings? This little break-in is far more productive than I thought it would be, if that is the case. But maybe I am seeing my nightmares and letting my imagination get ahead of me. Maybe she's not the woman. The uncertainty gnaws at him, adding to his anxiety. If it was her, then why was she here? What was the name I heard the guards say? Carl Long. The tension mounts as Johnson navigates the ducts, the fear of discovery ever present. He knows he must remain vigilant, every step bringing him closer to the truth or potential danger. The stakes have never been higher, and the path ahead is fraught with peril. Daisy feels the diary entry is an odd one. It is out of sorts for Hastings. He has always struck her as an optimistic guy. She churns over the entry, wondering what he means.
Dear Diary, 7/4/50. Men in dungarees worked many hard hours to build this nation. Men in suits spent many hours gambling away that which was produced. But men in lab coats may one day destroy this nation and the world. I remember reading once in the Bible or some such book that humanity fell when Eve bit into the apple from the tree of knowledge. I scoffed in my youth. How could knowledge be evil? Well, I think I am starting to find the answer to that question. Some knowledge is unworldly. The science of genetics adds about 100,000 pages to the scientific literature each month. A close friend in Earth Corps no less joked that the boomers discovered the genes and the Xer perfected its manipulation, leaving the millennials and beyond to cringe at the ethics. I don't mean to be cryptic here, as I fully plan to explain later, but if you want a full read, Diary 11 holds the issue to which I speak in a project I once termed the Star Children. I will reveal this new project interface is an attempt to build upon the Star Children by giving them the nanites Brenda and Fausto worked on. It's gaining traction because a soldier who received the Rutledge-Harris serum birthed 2 kids after being discharged for not disclosing her pregnancy while she was in Dabiq and having received the serum. Ashley female, who has but does not express this newfound gene. And Brody, male, who does. Don't get me wrong, diary. I am entirely dedicated to the Biopunk Manifesto of hacking away at the DNA. But I am starting to feel that maybe the world is over its head. Perhaps I am in over my head. I cannot say much more now, but I will give you the details later. Robert Hastings.
Daisy looks up from the page, pondering the entry. She wonders aloud.
Dear Diary, 7/5/50. I had the most fascinating meeting this morning. I mentioned to you yesterday about the twins and the active gene sequence. It appears that in the developmental process, that gene sequence develops a starter sequence for a huge code of genetic material on the X chromosome that was considered previously to be junk DNA. We have no idea what the long-term effects of this sequence on childhood development will be, but Brenda is temporarily calling them star children. Star meaning that these kids' potential is for something greater than greatness. Or maybe it's just a genetic dead end that could kill them in infancy or childhood. I've asked the military to do studies on those who received the Rutledge-Harris serum for the rescue mission of the former Inda Beek. The information that's been returned to me suggests that of the troops on that mission, 400 men and women actively show this change in their germline, yet only minor changes in their existing genetic sequence. Before he was discharged, the platoon commander, who received the first shot, showed minor changes in pheromonal system and increases in cardiovascular circulation and general overall endurance. As all the men signed the NDA, it may be hard to follow up on them, but Brenda is building a database to track them and their kids, as well as empirical modeling for if they take the nanites. Only time will tell. Maybe we can get the offspring to join us at Hastings and further their education. Robert Hastings.
There are just 2 entries left in the diary. The dates are almost a year after the entries she just read. The assistant ponders the meaning of the pause for a minute, wondering why he stopped writing. She nervously flips through the last 2 pages and begins to read.
A database? Maybe that is how they are tracking Eddie. It would explain the mutant gene sequence. Dear Diary, 6/1/51. This is probably my last message. I am sorry, old friend, that it has taken me so long to write. Siphon is dead. Mike is dead. Brenda and Karen were taken. I am not sure where. Okay, Robert, don't panic. Let me take it slow so people might discover the truth if this book survives me. Last July, I went to the lab and ran the hacker program. Some of it was a message to excite the American public to vote for the former CIA chief into the presidency. This was only one of many plans to program the American public into giving up its freedoms. I fled the lab with the information and tried to get the story published in the papers. Sadly, each paper accepted the information, but none published it. After that, the fucking Corpo Gazette published a story suggesting I was a prime suspect in the killing of Sam Clark. I knew they wanted me silenced, so I tried to arrange a flight for my wife and kids out of the country. I booked them a flight to London Heathrow to hide in England until the situation settled. As we drove to the airport, our quad stopped in a massive shootout between my private security forces and the former CIA director's security guard. Mike was shot. The image will forever stay with me of my boy, shredded to bits with bullets. Those vile monsters! Don't get carried away, Robert. Anyway, Rutledge came and promised to hide me. He hid Aiden Harris from EarthCorp for years, so I knew he could pull this off. I stayed with him briefly, but have been on the run since now. I returned home and found you, my diary friend, My house had been ransacked and indeed burned to the ground. You were in the rubble. I am telling you this story because they don't know who they fucked with. If they have not been discovered or destroyed, I have a secret store of nanites in this house from Brenda's experiment. I plan to inject them into me to see if they can help keep me alive long enough to destroy Project Interface. God help me. God help us all. For our children's freedom.
Daisy scratches her head. She reckons from the entry that Hastings emerged from his home that night fully prepared to die. The odds certainly stacked against him. How did he survive? She needed to read the last entry. Turtle Dove hears something in the vent and tells the guards.
Inform Mr. Long. I might be a few minutes late for our meeting.
But she has already moved into the shadows. The guard decides to contact Long and see if he should give chase. She sees the inkling of movement. Aware of Johnson's presence, the assassin fires up into the vents. The bolt of energy connects, and several panels blow. Johnny yelps as he falls into a crumpled mess of limbs. Turtle Dove wonders.
Was this the man at the amusement park? If it is wonderful that the Cammy have Santa the Witness to bump off.
Amused, Turtle Dove smirks and lifts an eyebrow as Johnny heaves his winded body up and staggers, huffing to his feet. The killer rushes the old private detective, and they smash through the window outside. The snap and crackle drown out all sound but a gasp of shock. Glass shatters around their skin, slicing easily into their bodies and releasing blood that pops into the air. Johnson tries to shield his eyes. They are falling, caught in a tangle of limbs. They both fall through the air. Johnson yells in fear. "What the hell are you thinking?" Johnny's bionic arm hits the wall several times, just enough to slow their fall. With a scornful smile, Turtle Dove twists Johnson, so he is under her when they land. He breaks her fall, his back in massive pain. The assassin rolls them off the ledge into a second drop. Directly below them is the building's exit with a ramp. Some kids are using the quad park to practice their hoverboard tricks. However, the misfits stand in shock and awe as the two people fall. Falling into the railing knocks Johnson's breath out. He tries to get up, but the younger and quicker Turtle Dove is on him in a flash. With a spin kick to the head, she levels Johnson to the floor once again. Although Johnson feels shattered and nauseous from the fall, he manages to drag himself up using the ramp's railing. He smashes his head down onto her skull. Her body rocks back in a moment of dizziness. Turtle Dove launches two lefts into Johnson's face. They shatter his nose, and he staggers back. Johnson's blood coats Turtle Dove's hands, and she licks it off her knuckles. Johnson stares hard at the psycho, his broken body bleeding. He can't help but admire her gall. Johnson holds his arm and tries to snort out globs of blood from his busted nose. The seductive femme fatale surfaces in her essence. His blood now coats her lips, and she appears in a state of ecstasy. In her rapture, Johnson manages to sweep out her feet with his left leg, and she falls to the ground. Rapidly, Turtle Dove gets up, jumping over and behind. Turtle Dove drives her fist right into Johnson's spine. Pain floods into his body, and he thinks his spine will snap. Then, remembering her orders for no collateral damage, she lifts his head. Johnson is sure she's going to snap his neck and end his life, but she just kisses his lips softly, drops his body to the floor. She gets ready to deliver her killing blow, but then notices the witnesses. It would not be hard to kill them all, but the collateral damage would create more problems than it is worth. Sirens blare down the street, and she realizes that someone must have heard the shattering glass or security called them. She does a double take, takes a step to kill, then grunts in frustration.
Saved by the bell.
Turtledove staggers back to the building to get Hastings' security. As she retreats into the darkness, Johnny lifts himself up. Around the private eye, several of the kids laugh as they draw closer. She kicked his butt! Tears roll big and fat down Johnson's face. His ribs are sore, and his arms are lacerated. He spits blood from his mouth. One of the kids asks if they can call the medics or something, but Johnson pulls himself up, spits out a bloody wad of phlegm, thanks the kid, and says he'll be fine. With that, Johnson, bleeding and aching all over, shambles like a drunk to where he parked his quad. Excited to learn the truth, Daisy plunges into reading the last page of the diary. What she finds is completely shocking, even to her.
Dear Diary, 6/2/51. By anyone's standards, I should neither be alive nor here. Most of me wish I weren't. Indeed, who am I now that my family was killed? I will try to explain. When I finished my last entry, I found the experimental nanites I needed behind a wall panel in the basement. Stared at them for a long time, and then injected them into my arm. I am not sure what happened next. I felt a surge in my body, my blood searing as if it were on fire. Surely I blacked out. Brenda and Dr. Falsto must have collected samples of gene sequences from people in the lab because it was like Sam Clark stirred inside me. Ditto Brenda and Dr. Falsto. It was as if I had gotten the best gene splicing of the group. I felt invincible. I felt like a god. I am a god. I headed to Hastings Corporation to get my family back. Dr. Hirsch posted guards in front of the building, but I knew another way. Through the basement. A security guard shot me as I snuck in, but I did not die. My mind reached out to Hirsch and discovered he killed my wife and my daughter. I pulled his mind toward me, and as I did so, I knew his body was rising from the chair and into the elevator. The doors closed, and the elevator came to the basement. We made eye contact for the briefest moment. The guard who had shot me turned his gun on Dr. Hirsch and fired 2 shots. One to the gut and one to the head. The .45 caliber round burst into the skull and made short work of Hirsch's brain. As he died, I felt his mind pulling away in terror. My mind churned. My nose breathed muck and fire. My body pushed the bullet that entered me. The wind swirled around me like a dirt-filled brown cloud, exploding into a stream of mire and flame. Killing the guard, I climbed into the elevator and went to my office, announcing to the board of directors by video conference that I had returned. They agreed with me, or maybe my mind could reach them through the screens and touch them. The nanobots in my blood still fight me, like they have a mind of their own and I must keep them in check. Tomorrow, I will end this government's tyrannical rule and create a corporate council to justly rule the land. I am more than a man. I am a fucking god. Robert Hastings.
Daisy sucks in a breath and thinks.
Well, don't that beat all? The guy has gone psychotic and has been ruling the world ever since.
She decides to call Johnny in the morning and give him the rest of the information. Daisy is unsure what nanites are, but knows something is wrong with Hastings. He appears too healthy for a man of his age. After his meeting with Turtledove, as her handler, Carl Long finds himself summoned to a meeting with Hastings and crew. He ponders her failure to retrieve the child and how to present the information to Hastings. He enters the high-tech conference room and pours himself a cup of Earl Grey tea. He puts in 2 scoops of sugar and swirls. I was so looking forward to celebrating my birthday next month. But can your nanites heal you? Carl's voice had an odd tone of desperation, and it squealed like that of a child. No, even the nanites have their limitations. The old man snorted ruefully. I was hoping the gene sequence from Eddie White held the key to my survival, and also helped me to create an army like him. But it is too late. All things change. The time draws near to change hands. I shall pick my successor and make my recommendation to the board. Of course, my successor will be gifted with my blood. The nanites, he's going to pass the nanobots along.
What a blessing.
Hastings stammers, for only he truly knows the battle and pain he has waged. A battle not just for himself, but also for humanity. He decides to taper his comments so as to avoid fear. A blessing and a curse. I guess longevity is both, and it can be no other way. But as you know, with the worry of leading our corporate government comes a slowing of aging. Even now, I feel like a 40-year-old. When will you decide? Tomorrow night. The ones who I believe can lead will succeed me. Louis eyes the room.
Then we need to prepare a feast.
Yes, prepare the feast. But prepare yourself. The road ahead is not an easy one. With that, Tom leaves the group. There is much for him to do. He thought the old man might have glanced at him when he spoke of preparing yourself. Maybe he was in line for the nanobots. Maybe he just needs to prove himself. He plans to make an all-out push to get Eddie as a last-minute gift. If he saves the old man, he'd secure his future, even if it is too late. The old man would see he tried. After the others leave the high-tech conference room, Louis places her hands on Hastings' shoulders. He leans his cheek on her hand, his face warm to her touch. She feels a shiver run down her spine. Her heart racing, she thinks,
Tread softly, Lou. This is delicate.
Bursting into tears, Hastings says to Professor Louis, I tried to pretend to the others that I did not care, but the truth is, I'm scared. I want to explode. I wanted to explode into tears and doubt. I am just past being strong. My life in my head. So many choices. I think I helped build a more pro-business world, but I always thought I would do so much more. I thought my world would be more humane for everyone. Louis' eyes soften, and she gently strokes his cheek.
It has become more humane.
Her voice is soft and soothing, her hand trailing down his shoulder.
Almost everyone works.
Hastings' shoulders slump, and he draws Louis closer, his grip almost desperate. His voice trembles as he says, I gave the world 3 wars, and 4 police actions. Worried for the great man and for his legacy, Louis thinks.
Play your part, Lou. Keep him calm.
Her eyes become warm and soft. She strokes his arm and gives him a gentle kiss on his lips.
You cannot make an omelette.
She starts to say as the old man presses his lips against hers. She responds with a mix of tenderness and passion, savoring the moment before he draws back. In some ways, chuckles Hastings, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. It may be for the best. The world is my vision, and I despise what it has become. Louise's lips curl into a seductive smile as she draws him close, her breath warm against his ear.
You are a great man.
The professor murmurs, her voice a sultry whisper.
And the world has done great things.
I'm tired. So tired.
I know. I wish it were different.
While her eyes display only true desire, yes, desire. The man is old, but he is the closest thing to a god she has ever known, and his power was intoxicating. She thinks.
Stay composed, Lou. He needs you.
She feels the weight of his despair, her own emotions swirling as she holds him tighter.
I must be strong for him. I must guide him.
Their bodies pressed together, the air thick with unspoken emotions. Lust builds. Louise's heart races, but her exterior remains calm and inviting, her touch a mix of comfort and seduction. She knows she must maintain this delicate balance for both their sakes.
Stay with me, Bob.
The professor whispers, her lips brushing his ear.
We'll face this together. You're not alone.
Hastings looks into her eyes, finding solace in her presence. The storm within him calms, if only for a moment, as Louise's embrace offers a fragile sense of peace amidst the chaos of his thoughts. His face relaxes and he leans into her touch, his breathing steadying. Louise's eyes glimmer with determination.
We'll get through this. I'll make sure of it.
Louise stares into his eyes. They have been together a long time. Their connection is deep. She thinks.
Decades together. And he still needs me. I am all he sees. I am his strength. His desire.
Her resolve strengthening.
I won't let him down now.
2 hours later, Tom staggers down an alley. His feet occasionally cause him to stumble. Hell, the businessman mutters, his voice gurgling like someone speaking underwater. Damn Hastings! He screams, throwing the empty bottle against the wall, causing it to shatter. His body shivers. He is drunk. His hair is matted, clinging to his sweaty skin. His mind feels like it's melting inside his skull. Finally, Tom arrives at the bar he's been looking for. He is shocked to find Professor Louis sitting inside. He makes his way to her table. She is already on her 5th drink. Hey, he offers, his voice heavy with despair.
Hey.
She echoes back, her eyes glazed. A long moment passes.
Is there any word on the kid?
No, nothing. Tom states, the weight of the word crushing him. Professor Louis stops and stares off into space. Absent-mindedly, she lifts a drink to her mouth and swallows. She acts as if in a trance. Finally, she mumbles.
It's a shame.
She takes another sip.
Splicing genes from Eddie would be the beginning. It's not just a gene. I have come to learn it is a starter sequence for a series of dormant genes in many humans. Once achieved, the nanites would splice the new DNA into every person's gene sequence worldwide. People would all become telekinetic.
Damn. Gene's a goldmine, Tom mutters, though the words feel hollow.
We need to stay one step ahead of any possible government regulations.
Louise says. Hers is a tone distant. The council will never support new regulations. Tom insists, a sneer curling his lip. I mean, if the council regulates your industry, you'd push for regulation of their industry. It could lead to an internal trade war and destroy all we built. Louise nods absently, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. Her mind is clearly elsewhere, lost in a web of thoughts and regrets. The bar's dim lighting casts shadows on their faces, highlighting the deep lines of worry and weariness etched into their features. Tom's eyes dart around the room, paranoia creeping in. He knows they're both in deep, and the weight of their actions presses down on him like a vice. The smell of the stale beer and sweat fills the air, mixing with the haze of cigarette smoke. Tom thinks, what have we done? Tom's stomach churns. Is this really the world we wanted to create? The despair hangs heavy between them, unspoken yet palpable. They both know there's no turning back now. The choices they've made have set them on a path they can't escape, and the consequences are becoming all too real. Keep it together, Tom, he mutters to himself, trying to muster some semblance of control. But the doubt gnaws at him, relentless and unforgiving. Still hobbling away from his encounter with Louis, Johnny spits some blood from his mouth and glances back down the street. A large black van slows as it follows Johnny, walking the streets. Its headlights are on high beams and pierce through the night air. He thinks, of course, she must have gone inside and reported my presence to security. They're here to finish me with no witnesses. The van is still light, but as the night grows, the neon lighting across the cyber city plug up the darkness with artificial light. In its high beams, dust particles dance up and down. The air shimmers in the humid heat. However, spots of rain start to fall. The van hauls up next to Johnson, and two large men clad in black military uniforms yank him roughly in. Johnny struggles to escape. Inside, they push him up to the van's metal walls. Blood spurts from his face as they pound on him for a short while. Then, they pound multiple body targets. Each clenched fist into Johnson's ribs feels like a burning fire. Agonizing pain shoots through each muscle of his tired old body. Burning aches scream and his body slides down. His bruises bruise. They continue their brief assault as the van hovers up into the slipstream above, just to make sure that he knows they can. One of them muffles a bark of laughter and snorts in derision as his knuckles contact Johnson's chin. Spitting out a large globule of blood, Johnson rolls onto his back as the group of Haasting thugs lord over him. Johnson's tired old body aches all over. Even more of the faux flesh has fallen off the robotics of his former arm. This is pissing him off now. He inspects his arm in disgust and is about to ask the obvious question when the butt of an ion cannon Mark 101 hits him in the face. The old private detective sees stars and then darkness. He thinks, damn it, Johnny, keep it together. His mind swims in pain. His body shivers uncontrollably, the cold metal floor of the van pressing against his skin. Blood trickles down his face, mixing with the sweat and grime. His vision blurs, but he forces himself to focus, to stay conscious. The thugs exchange smirks, their eyes gleaming with sadistic pleasure. One of them leans in close, his breath hot, rancid against Johnson's ear. "You think you're tough, old man? You're nothing, and this is your end." Johnson's jaw tightens, his teeth grinding together. He wants to fight back, to show them he's not beaten, but his body refuses to cooperate. Every movement sends waves of agony through him, his muscles screaming in protest. He tells himself, "I can't go out like this. I have to survive. I have to find out what Hastings is hiding." The van's engine roars as it speeds through a green traffic light, the lights casting eerie shadows on the thugs' faces. Johnson's heart pounds in his chest, each beat a reminder of his determination to save Eddie and to stop Hastings' goons from killing more kids, no matter the cost, even if it is his life. At 5 o'clock, Tom smells the aromatic fragrance of the first night's feast. The aroma sweeps through the room, wrapping its arms around Tom and drawing him toward the door. At first, he needs to call Lily. Tom whips out his phone and waits as it rings. Impatiently, he taps his desk.
Hello?
Questions Lily, picking up the phone.
"Hi, love."
Tom says in a cute voice, masking his irritation and fear.
Hey, Tom. How was work?
She responds, her eyes filled with adoration. She sees him as her salvation, her trip to the good life. Even in the holographic image of Lily's face, Tom can tell how she feels. The businessman holds back a smug look of satisfaction, but allows himself a small smile. He can tell Lily's mood is good. Tom's heart jumps in anticipation, and he asks,
"Did they find your kid?"
A long pause ensues, and Tom knows the answer is no before Lily utters the words. Tom feels a panic attack coming on, and he hurriedly gets off the phone. He is getting fearful and just a little bit angry. He needs a backup plan. He thinks, "Damn it, Lily. Get it together." His mind races. He continues to think. Can't afford any slip-ups. This could mean both our heaven or both our hell. The pain and the not knowing make Tom terrified. Yet, he does not feel he can tell anyone his concern. This leaves him frustrated. Lily, on the other hand, is lost in her own world. She loves the attention, the drama. It is clear on the video call her eyes sparkle with a mix of excitement and desperation. She thrives on the emotional roller coaster, the highs and lows of their twisted relationship. Tom clenches his fists, his knuckles turning white. He can feel the anger bubbling up inside him, threatening to explode. "I need to stay in control," the businessman tells himself, taking deep breaths. "Can't let her see me like this." Lily's voice is soft and sweet, almost too sweet.
Tom, you know I'm doing everything I can.
She says, her tone dripping with sincerity. But Tom knows better. He knows she loves the chaos, the attention. Why else would she have picked that old fool Johnson to be the center for finding her kid? More frustration enters into his voice than he wants to, as he says, "Just make sure you do." Tom snaps, his voice harsh. He tries to cover it with a softer, lower tone, but it comes off as strict and reminds him of his own abusive father's tone. He hates himself. Always wanted better than to sound like the man. "I don't have time for your games, Lily." Her eyes widen, a flicker of fear crossing her face, but it's quickly replaced by a pout, her lips forming a perfect, exaggerated frown.
Tom, You don't have to be so mean.
She whines, her voice taking on a petulant tone. Tom grits his teeth, his patience wearing thin. Just get it done, the businessman growls, ending the call abruptly. He throws the phone onto the desk, his chest heaving with anger and frustration, thinking, I need a backup plan. I can't rely on her. I need to take matters into my own hands. The aroma of the feast still lingers in the air, but it no longer brings comfort. Instead, it serves as a reminder of the pressure he's under, the stakes that are higher than ever. Tom knows he has to act fast, and he can't afford any more mistakes. Thank you for listening to Red Light Falling, Episode 4.5, The Radiowoman is On. Written by Joseph and Marisha Cautilli. The novel Red Light Falling, A Noir Tale of Redemption by John Andrews, Joseph Cautilli, and Marisha Cautilli. Book 1 of Nanite Nation series. Director and producer, Roma Gray. Executive producer credits, Marisha and Joseph Cautilli. Narrated by Joshua Banks and Shauna Lee Carton. Music by Marisha Cautilli.